National Park Service in the United States preserves untouched natural beauty. The Grand Canyon, for example, is considered one of the modern natural wonders of the world. Waterfalls, geysers, rushing rivers, and still lakes, along with the plentiful wildlife and serenity of nature, are just some of the breathtaking attractions of these paths. There is another feature to these parks, however, and that is danger. Endless trails leaving people lost in remote, confusing, and sometimes dangerous terrain. In the majority of cases, people are found, but unfortunately in some cases, only the remains are found. In other cases, the only thing found is a mystery. There are currently 24 cold cases of missing persons listed by the National Park Service's Investigative Services Branch. These are some of their stories. David Kramer, a 21-year-old college student with a passion for geology, had a deep love for exploring nature, particularly the Grand Canyon. His academic focus at the University of Texas and his frequent trips to natural wonders like the Grand Canyon were no surprise to those who knew him. However, in early February 2016, Kramer's decision to visit the Grand Canyon took an unexpected turn. Without any prior notice, he left his home in Texas, drove to California, and eventually made his way to the Bright Angel Lodge in Arizona. While Kramer had visited the park before, it was unusual for him to travel alone. His parents had seen him just days before his trip, and he had seemed in good spirits. However, a message he sent to his mother raised concern, as it appeared to indicate that he was seeking solitude, writing that he needed to be back with Mother Earth and set his soul free. Authorities considered suicide a likely explanation, especially after Kramer left his car at the lodge and ventured alone along the South Rim. Despite extensive searches, no trace of Kramer was ever found, and his disappearance remains a mystery. In August 2000, Ruthanne Rupert, an experienced climber from Florida, vanished while visiting Yosemite National Park. Known for her adventurous spirit, Rupert had climbed some of the world's tallest peaks, including Mount Kilimanjaro. The trip to Yosemite seemed like another typical adventure for her, as she had planned to join a backpacking group on a 30-mile trek across the park. However, an eye infection kept her from joining the group, and she decided to stay behind. After renting a cabin at Curry Village and spending the day shopping, Rupert disappeared without a trace. Her gear was left behind, something a seasoned hiker would never do. Despite an extensive search, no clues were found. Years later, Rupert's backpack was discovered almost 8 miles away in Fireplace Creek, raising further questions about how it got there. However, no answers have ever emerged regarding her whereabouts. Stacy Aris, just 14 years old, was part of a guided tour at Yosemite National Park in the summer of 1981. On the trip with her father and 6 other members of the group, she had planned to visit a nearby lake. While her father chose to rest, Stacy was accompanied by an elderly man from the group, Gerald Stewart. Along the trail, Stewart paused to sit on a rock while Stacy continued ahead. When he caught up, she had disappeared. The group, realizing she was missing, launched an immediate search. Despite a massive operation that included helicopters, search dogs, and nearly 100 people, no trace of Stacy was found except for her camera lens cap. No blood or other signs of harm were discovered, and it is believed that no one in the area at the time saw anything unusual. The disappearance remains unsolved, adding another eerie chapter to Yosemite's long list of mysterious vanishings. George Penka, a member of a church group visiting Yosemite National Park, also vanished under strange circumstances in 1995. Penka, an inexperienced hiker, was with a group of 80 fellow churchgoers when they were hiking the Upper Yosemite Falls Trail. At some point, he became separated from the group. Some reports suggest that Penka, not feeling well, chose to turn back, while others say the group split into 2 and Penka became lost in the shuffle. The last confirmed sighting of him was at 2:40 p.m. But by 9 p.m., when he hadn't returned, he was reported missing. Despite the heavily trafficked nature of the trail, no one outside of the church group reported seeing him. Penka's belongings, including his water and food, were never found, and there was no trace of him anywhere. His disappearance, in a well-populated area and under relatively benign conditions, remains a perplexing mystery. Polly Melton, a woman who was not considered an avid hiker but enjoyed spending time in the Smoky Mountains, went missing in September 1981 while on a moderate trail with 2 friends. Melton, who had a history of smoking and was not in the best physical condition, had spent years visiting the area and was known in the local community. During the hike, She walked ahead of her friends and disappeared over a knoll. The two women she was with heard nothing unusual and saw no signs of a struggle. Melton had no personal items with her, no change of clothes, purse, or medication for her high blood pressure, leaving behind no clues. Over a year later, a check in her name was cashed in Alabama, though it's uncertain whether it was her signature. Theories suggest Melton may have chosen to leave her life behind, but given her health issues and her strong ties to the community, the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain unclear. The National Park Service continues to keep her case open, despite the passage of time and the lack of evidence. In June 1969, the Martin family went for a hike. Hiking with their extended family, the Martins were enjoying the day in the Great Smoky Mountains when the unthinkable happened. Dennis Martin, just 6 years old, decided to play hide-and-seek with his cousins. They found separate hiding spots, intending to spook the grown-ups as they came by. Dennis' 3 cousins popped out, but Dennis never appeared. The family waited for several minutes, looking for Dennis to make his grand entrance. He never did. The family immediately began searching. 4 hours later, the light was gone, and Dennis was nowhere to be found. The next day, a massive search began. Over the next week, over 1,000 volunteers, including Green Berets, searched miles of forest. Despite the grand nature of the search and rescue operation, Dennis was never found, and no clues as to what happened that day have appeared. The massive size of the search and rescue group may have hindered some of the efforts. Potential clues were discounted because they were deemed too far from the point of origin. Footprints were quickly trodden on before comparisons could be made. Regardless of the reason, the disappearance of Dennis Martin remains one of the most unsettling unsolved mysteries in a U.S. national park. Disappearance at the Fountain Hotel, Yellowstone National Park. As one of the oldest national parks in the U.S., Yellowstone has its fair share of mystery. The now defunct Fountain Hotel was once a hot springs destination within Yellowstone National Park. It was also the location of one of the park's most bizarre mysteries. Leroy Piper, a young banker staying at the hotel, bought his dinner and grabbed a cigar like any other night. He went outside to smoke and disappeared into thin air. Like so many of these national park tragedies, no trace of Piper ever resurfaced. The hotel was near both active thermal hot springs and a bear feeding station, leading to plenty of stomach-churning theories about Leroy Piper's end. With no evidence, and even the hotel itself no longer in existence, the mystery of what happened to Leroy Piper is likely to remain unknown by all but Yellowstone National Park itself. Each of these cases highlights the unpredictable and often mysterious nature of national parks, where even experienced hikers and seemingly safe groups can disappear without explanation. The terrain, the isolation, and the sheer vastness of these parks can turn what should be peaceful outdoor experiences into tragic, unexplained disappearances, and in many instances, no answers are ever found. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. This has been National Park Mysteries.